Hey everyone, welcome back for another memory keeping plan with me. This time we're getting into December, so it's December 1st through the 7th. And that's funny to me because it's like December 29th and we're already done with most of December in the planner. I'm very proud of myself for that. Not that it's bad to be behind in a memory keeping planner because like the memories are there no matter what, but I do like that this year, for the first time in like years, I'm only like a couple weeks behind in my planner. I just prefer to kind of stick with the seasons that we're currently in my planner. So I actually have the first 3 weeks of December stickered down. The only week in my 2025 planner that I haven't done yet is the week that just happened, so Christmas week. I think I'm not going to decorate the last week of the year slash first week of 2026 twice, like I said in my lineup. I think I'm just going to do that one in the new planner because I think I'm ready to be out of my 2025 planner. I don't really know why I feel that way, but that's where I'm at. I think I'm ready to be done with 2025. So, this week I used leftovers from Apple Blossom Prints. I'm slowly but sadly finishing up the kits that I had from Apple Blossom Prints. If you don't know, this shop is closed now, unfortunately. I really enjoyed buying sticker kits from her. Sorry, the coffee has not 100% kicked in this morning yet. And now I'm starting to use up the leftovers I have from those kits. So I had a whole bunch of Christmas kits from her last year. So we're going to start by using up the leftovers of this. I really love this adorable like cabin cuddly blanket scene. I love the puppies. It's very cute. So it's a very pastel Christmas kit. I thought that was a good way to start off the month. I kind of alternated between less traditional Christmas kit color, traditional Christmas kit color, back to less traditional, back to traditional. That was how I flip-flopped this year. And I had this very cute snowflake washi. Obviously, I don't get snow where I live in California. We have plenty of snow in California in the mountains, but snow is a destination, not a daily way of life for us. But it was pretty cold this week. Late November, early December, we had a lot of fog and just overcast and not seeing the sun. And then Christmas week, especially, we had a bunch of huge storms roll in, which actually I preferred the rain and the storms and the thunder because that meant that the air temperature was warmer. So, yeah, the first few weeks of December were quite cold. Not like freezing or anything, but it was quite a contrast to like just a few weeks earlier in early November where it was still pretty warm outside. Not a lot happened this week. I started Insta Vlogmas over on Instagram, so if you missed that, I did create a couple of highlights. Obviously, all of the vlogs wouldn't fit into one highlight, but if you want to see what I was up to in the Christmas season, you can go look at my Instagram. It's the same as my YouTube handle. It's also linked down below, I believe. I think. My youngest brother turned 25, which I don't know how to feel about that. It makes me feel a little old. Spotify Wrapped came out. To nobody's surprise, or maybe it was surprising to some people. It was not surprising to me. My Chemical Romance was my top artist. Casey Musgraves was my second top artist. I am not surprised. I was gonna say if Spotify said anybody else was my top artist other than MCR, I'd be like, okay, this algorithm's broken. So, yeah. I listened to a lot of MCR this year, especially in the second half of the year after going to their concert. And that really helped with a lot of the angst and anxiety around 2025. So, and then Casey Musgraves just makes sense because her album that came out last year and that she toured with, that we went to her show, that one's really been keeping me going as well. As far as what else happened, we finally got like lights for our Christmas tree this week. So finally could decorate the tree. My tree is definitely still up. I leave up Christmas until pretty much the end of January, unless I start getting sick of it and then I decide to take it down. Usually we're pretty busy in December and January, so when I do have downtime, the last thing I want to do is like pack up all of Christmas. It's kind of labor intensive, at least the way that we put everything away, because we don't have a ton of storage space, so it is kind of exhausting to put everything away because we've got to find places to put it. And also, I don't put up Christmas until after Thanksgiving anyway. I can totally understand, like, if you're one of the people who puts up Christmas like pretty early in the year, I can understand taking it down early. But for me, I didn't even get my tree fully decorated until December 6th. So I'm not taking it down 20 days later. That's just not happening. I am going to nap. The fact that everything like got put up in December, like not just the week before Christmas, is when I have so much work in the weeks leading up to Christmas, more work than I have like all the rest of the year, is impressive to me. So yeah, after Christmas, I chill. I'm doing like the essentials, but that is the start of my winter break, is like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So the week of that, like I am not doing any more chores at that point. I do have a habit tracker for flossing in the sidebar, as well as a weekly checklist for my dinners for this week. And then that brings us into the day by day. So Monday was the start to the last week of regular classes at one of the colleges where I teach. So my students were giving presentations. So that's from Sweet Ava's paper. Pretty much no, not everything is from Sweet Ava's paper, but that sloth on the computer is. I had grading to do. And then also the sun came out this day, which was quite exciting because at least in Sacramento and most of the Central Valley, so like the center line of California, we had a bunch of fog. So when the sun did come out, I went and stood in it because I needed the sunshine. I had to go get gas, and then I wanted to mark that it was World AIDS Day this day. So that snow globe is from Bella Planella. I talked about this on my Instagram Vlogmas, which that sticker is from Papershire to mark Insta Vlogmas, or the start to it anyway. I think it's shameful to not recognize World AIDS Day. I don't think pretending it doesn't exist is doing anybody any favors. And yeah, I already talked about it on Instagram, so you can go take a look at my Vlogmas clip about that. But I wanted to recognize it because it's important. And if you've never been affected in any sort of way by like misinformation, or just, what's the other word I'm looking for? Just misconceptions about like HIV, count yourself lucky. Like we have lost people, and I think part of the reason that happened is that people were not open and people were not accepting. And so I have a lot of opinions about that. Moving on, sorry. Went and taught my night classes, and then I was awake from like 2 to 5 a.m. this night for some reason. So at the end of Monday, those stickers are also from Sweet Ava's paper. Tuesday, I marked our vacation countdown with a sticker from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. I got to sleep in a little bit. I was really tired after my night class. And then I had therapy, so I just used a little mug from Bella Planella to mark that. I had lots of grading to do. I did film my December lineup. So those are both from Sweet Ava's paper. And then I didn't have yoga, I did yoga. So that little shoe is from, where is it from? The Prairie Planner. I also did laundry, so I'm going to pull in this sticker from Corks and Corgs Co. And then I continued watching Beyond Stranger Things, which was just kind of like behind the scenes stuff on Netflix after season 2. So I have this little waffle sticker, which is from Carly Plans from the Friends Don't Lie Stranger Things themed character sheets. Wednesday was my youngest brother's 25th birthday, so I marked that with a stack of presents from Bella Planella. And then I marked my Spotify Wrapped with this cute little snow globe sticker from Sweet Ava's paper. And I wrote in that MCR and Casey Musgraves led my Spotify Wrapped. Taylor Swift was also on there, and I don't love that for me, but also like, as far as Taylor Swift goes, like I'm gonna keep listening to her older stuff. Like and she has such a catalog that it's impossible for me to not have her in my top. But I wasn't. It was a complicated emotion because I really, really didn't like the album that came out this year. So I'm like, I don't really want her in my top artists. And then I think Chappell Roan, and who was my other top artist? I can't remember who my other out of the 5. Oh well. Maybe the December. No, I didn't listen to that much of the Decemberists this year. I do not remember who was my 5th artist in there. Oh well. Not that important. Then I marked the last day of presentations for my morning and afternoon classes. So that was my last day with them for regular classes. And I ended up vlogging a lot on Instagram this day. I just had a lot to talk about. So I marked that with another paper shire sticker. And then I went and taught my night classes. So I have another sticker from Sweet Ava's paper. Thursday, the first thing I marked was my husband working from home, and I was feeling really dehydrated and headachy. I end up getting really dehydrated in the winter because I forget to drink water, and then the heater's going on, and it catches up with me when I least expect that. So I have a couple of stickers from Sweet Ava's paper to mark those two things. I did more laundry, so I have another Corks and Corks Co. laundry machine sticker. I had a bunch of annotated bibliographies to grade, so I did that. And then I filmed a plan with me, so I have 2 sloth stickers from Sweet Ava's paper. Then I marked taking vitamins because this was the only day I remembered to take them, so I have a little pill bottle from Bunny Bear Plans. And then this was the night that I finally started watching A Man on the Inside Season 2 on Netflix. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this show because it is a darling little show. I definitely recommend it if you haven't watched it. The first season, which I think came out last year or maybe at the end of 2023, I can't remember. The first season was like such a love letter to San Francisco, which is someone from Northern California, was quite darling. The first season was a lot more sad than the second season, just because he's coping with the loss of his wife and getting older and not really having like a purpose. Like the second season is definitely a lot more upbeat and happy because it's like we've processed the grief and all of that, and we found a purpose in being a PI and all of that. Second season was definitely like a love letter to liberal arts colleges, which I loved. Definitely painting the need in this country for people to be like, well, everything has to have like a utilitarian purpose and everything needs to make money for tech and everything needs to be tech centered. If you don't agree with that, this show's probably not for you, but I felt like it was very much like a love letter to a liberal arts college. As I was watching it, I'm like, this campus looks really familiar. Have I been there? I haven't. They filmed it at Mills College, which is in Oakland. I don't know if it's still an all-women's college. It might not be anymore, but it historically has been a women's college. And I haven't been there, but I've definitely received a lot of promotional materials from them when I was like in high school and stuff like that, trying to recruit me. So it's like I've seen the campus, but I haven't been there, if that makes sense. I thought it was really, the English professor character is really funny. This is not going to be spoilery, by the way. I'm not going to give anything away like I did with Stranger Things. I'm just going to talk about some of like the characters. The English professor character is so funny to me because he's like, I teach romantic poetry, the 19th century novel, and then for some reason he's also in charge of the James Joyce Symposium. Those are 3 different centuries, if you're not aware. Which like I like all of those things, don't get me wrong, but it is funny that he's like a very like stereotypical like older English professor, but he doesn't just have like one thing going on. So I thought that was really funny. But then it seems like they only have one professor at this college teaching like every subject. Angela from Bones is there, Michaela Conlon. She's an economics professor. Loved seeing her. I love that she's still around. She is gorgeous and hilarious at the same time. And there's like 2 love stories going on this season. One is like very obvious with Ted Danson's character and like the actress who is his wife in real life, which is really funny. But then there's another one brewing and I was like, yes, get it. Sorry. But there's another one in the background, which is so funny. I called it from like episode 1. I'm like, yeah, that's what's happening there. Love it. And then I also just love with this show that Ted Danson's character's 3 grandsons are just walking disasters. They're so funny. They're like stereotypical worst of Gen Z, but every now and then they do something helpful or funny. And also I just love that his character like loves playing video games with his grandsons. It's so funny. And then they live in Sacramento, his daughter and her family. And I think it's not clear what her job is. Maybe they told us and I totally forgot. But her husband's a teacher and like he had a line this season and was like, you know, the worst thing about being a teacher is that all the days that I have off, my kids also have off. And then they cut to like the kids on the couch being disasters and it's so funny. But yeah, there's like an arc for the daughter character as well this season, which is cool. Obviously, I can't explain why, but like for some reason their house looks like the most like Sacramento house, and she's trying to like navigate things with like after losing her mom, and obviously she's had 3 kids very close together, and that's been a lot of her focus at the same time. So it's cool to see like her have some moments of realization too. Anyway, talked a lot about that. What else happened this week? More work. The sun didn't come out all weekend. Finally got lights for the Christmas tree so I could decorate it. Finished watching Man on the Inside season 2, which was great. And then for some reason we made shrimp for the cats on Sunday. So, it's because my husband wanted to make shrimp fried rice, so we set aside a little bit of shrimp for the cats. But other than that, I'm not going to go through all of the other details from this week. I did end up watching the Beyond the Shadow documentary about the Stranger Things play on Netflix. It is interesting. Gives a little bit more background to season 5, I feel. But yeah, that is the week. Thanks for listening to my review of a Netflix show that maybe you don't care about, but I do think it's a cute little show. I would recommend watching it. I will talk to you next time.